My bio mother cried when she saw me. I thought it was love. Then she asked about my house and suddenly the tears made sense. Posted to r/true off my chest. I'm a 32-year-old man, and until 3 months ago, I thought I had made peace with being adopted. I thought I had processed everything, moved on, built a life I was proud of. I never searched for my biological family. Never felt the need. My adoptive parents gave me everything: love, stability, support, opportunity. They are my parents in every way that matters. Then a Facebook message changed everything. I want to share this story because I need to get it out. Because I need people to understand what happened. And because maybe someone out there is going through something similar and needs to know they're not alone. The message. It came on a Tuesday evening. I was sitting in my home office, finishing up some plans for a commercial project my firm had just landed. My wife was downstairs making dinner. Life was good. Normal. Peaceful. Then I saw the notification. I know this might come as a shock, but my name is redacted, and I believe I am your biological mother. I've been searching for you for years. I never stopped loving you. I never stopped thinking about you. Please, if you're willing, I would love to meet you. To explain. To finally tell you how sorry I am. I read it 3 times. Then I read it again. My hands were shaking. Not because I was excited, because I was confused. I had never searched for my biological parents. I had never posted on adoption reunion sites. I had never taken a DNA test. How had she found me? I showed my wife. She held my hand and asked me what I wanted to do. I didn't know. For 27 years, I had lived without knowing these people. I had built an entire life. A career. A marriage. A home. I had parents who loved me, who showed up to every baseball game, who helped me through college, who walked me through buying my first house. Why would I need anything else? But there was something in that message. Something that pulled at a part of me I thought I had buried. The 5-year-old boy who had been given away. The child who had spent his early years wondering why he wasn't enough. I told my wife I needed to think about it. She said she'd support whatever I decided. I didn't sleep that night. The backstory. I should explain my situation for context. I was adopted at age 5. My adoptive parents, the people I call mom and dad, took me in when I was a scared, confused little boy who didn't understand why his first family had let him go. The story I was told was simple. My biological parents were young, poor, and unable to care for me. They made the difficult decision to give me up so I could have a better life. For a long time, I believed that was an act of love. A sacrifice. I told myself that they must have been heartbroken, that they must have cried when they signed those papers, that somewhere out there, 2 people were thinking of me and hoping I was happy. My adoptive parents never spoke ill of them. They always said, they did what they thought was best for you. We're just grateful we got to be your family. And they were. They are my family. My adoptive parents couldn't have biological children of their own. They chose adoption, and they chose me. They gave me everything. Piano lessons. Soccer practice. Summer camps. Family vacations to national parks where my dad would teach me about geology and my mom would pack elaborate picnic lunches. They helped me with college applications, celebrated when I got into architecture school, and cried when I graduated at the top of my class. They're retired now, living about an hour away from me. I see them almost every weekend. My wife loves them. They're already talking about being grandparents someday. These are my parents. The only parents I need. So why did I respond to that Facebook message? I wish I had a better answer. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the child in me who still wondered. Maybe I just wanted to hear their side of the story, to finally close that chapter completely. Whatever the reason, I wrote back. The first meeting. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop 2 weeks later. Neutral ground. Public space. My wife offered to come, but I told her I needed to do this alone. She understood. I arrived early. Sat in a corner booth. Ordered a coffee I didn't drink. My leg bounced under the table. Then they walked in. My biological mother was a small woman in her mid-50s, with graying hair and tired eyes. My biological father was taller, heavier, with a face that looked like it had seen hard years. They spotted me immediately. I suppose I looked like them, though I'd never thought about it before. My biological mother started crying before she even reached the table. "Oh my God," she whispered, her hands covering her mouth. "It's really you. It's really you." She hugged me before I could react. It was awkward, stiff. I didn't know what to do with my arms. My biological father shook my hand, his eyes wet. "Son," he said, and the word hit me like a punch to the chest. We sat down. They ordered nothing. They just stared at me. "I can't believe we finally found you," my biological mother said, dabbing her eyes with a napkin. "I've been looking for so long. So many years. I never gave up hope." "How did you find me?" I asked. It was the only question I could form. She explained that she had hired a private investigator. That she had spent years saving up for it. That finding me had been her life's mission. "We never forgot you," my biological father said. "Not a single day." They brought photos. Pictures of me as a baby, as a toddler, as a 4-year-old with a gap-toothed smile. I didn't remember any of it. "We were so young," my biological mother continued. "I was only 19 when I had you. Your father was 21. We had nothing. No money. No stability. No support from our families. We tried so hard to make it work, but—" She trailed off, fresh tears falling. "Giving you up was the hardest decision we ever made. The hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly. "We thought about you every birthday," she said. "Every Christmas. Every milestone. We wondered if you were happy. If you were healthy. If you remembered us at all." "I don't," I admitted. "I don't remember much from before the adoption." She nodded, looking heartbroken. "That's probably for the best. You were so confused. So scared. But you were such a good boy. Such a sweet, smart little boy." They asked about my life. I told them, the abbreviated version. Good childhood. Good education. Architecture degree. Successful career. Happy marriage. They seemed genuinely pleased. Genuinely proud. "We always knew you'd do something special," my biological father said. "We always knew." I started to relax. Started to think maybe this could be something. Not a replacement for my real parents, but something. A connection. An understanding. Closure, at least. Then my biological mother mentioned my siblings. Update 1, the truth comes out. "Your brother and sister," she said casually, like it was nothing. "They'll be so excited to meet you." I froze. "My, what?" "Your siblings," she repeated. "We had 2 more children after you. Your brother is 25 now, and your sister is 23. The room tilted. They gave me up at 5 because they couldn't afford me. Then they had 2 more kids. Kids they kept. Kids they chose over me. "I didn't know," I managed to say. "I didn't know I had siblings." My biological mother reached across the table and patted my hand. "We were in a better place by then. More stable. We had found our footing. It was different. Different." The word echoed in my skull. They said giving me up was the hardest decision. But they made it pretty easily when the next 2 came along. "We wanted you to have siblings," she continued, oblivious to the storm building inside me. We couldn't provide for 3 children back then. But two we could manage." I sat there, speechless. They had kept 2 children. Raised 2 children. Given 2 children the family life they had deemed me unworthy of receiving. "Do they know about me?" I asked. My biological mother hesitated. We've mentioned you." But they were young. They didn't fully understand. We were going to tell them more when the time was right. My siblings don't even know I exist. They grew up with parents while I grew up wondering why I wasn't enough to keep. I should have left then. I should have stood up, walked out, and never looked back. But I didn't. Because part of me still wanted answers. Still wanted to understand. "How are they?" I asked, my voice flat. My biological parents exchanged a glance. A loaded glance. The kind that said more than words ever could. "They've had some challenges," my biological father said carefully. "Challenges." My biological mother sighed. "Your brother. He made some poor choices. Got involved with the wrong crowd. He's had some legal troubles. Drug-related. He's in prison," my biological father clarified, his jaw tight. 18 months. Possession with intent to distribute. I sat back. "And my sister?" Another exchange of glances. "She struggled to find her direction," my biological mother said. "She's living with us right now. Taking some time to figure things out." "She dropped out of college," my biological father added. "Hasn't held a job in 2 years. Spends most of her time in our basement." The picture was becoming clearer. Painfully, devastatingly clearer. They're not here because they missed me. They're here because their other investments didn't pay off and they're hoping I will. Update 2. The real agenda emerges. Over the next few weeks, we had several more meetings. Phone calls. Text messages. My biological mother sent me long emails about her life, her struggles, her regrets. She seemed sincere. Seemed genuine. But little things started to slip through. Comments about my house. It must be so nice to have all that space. How many bedrooms? Questions about my career. Architecture must pay well. Are you the boss at your firm? Observations about my car. Is that a new model? Very fancy. At first, I dismissed it. They were just making conversation. Getting to know me. That's what family does, right? Then my biological mother called me one evening, her voice shaky. I hate to ask this, she said, but I'm in a difficult situation. Your brother's legal fees have been substantial. And your father's been having health issues. Our house needs repairs we can't afford. I was wondering, families should support each other, shouldn't they? There it was. My bio mother cried when she saw me. I thought it was love. Then she asked about my house and suddenly the tears made sense. I'm not sure what you're asking, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Just a loan, she said quickly. Until we get back on our feet. I wouldn't ask if it weren't urgent. You understand, don't you? You're doing so well. You have so much. And we're family. Family. The word burned. Let me think about it, I said. I didn't sleep that night either. Update 3. The final pieces fall into place. I did some digging. Not out of malice, out of necessity. I needed to understand what I was dealing with. What I found broke something inside me. My biological parents hadn't been destitute when they gave me up. They weren't homeless, weren't starving, weren't facing impossible circumstances. They were struggling, yes. Money was tight. But they had options. They had family who offered to help. They had community resources available. They gave me up because I was inconvenient. Because I was expensive. Because they were young and wanted their freedom and saw me as an obstacle. 2 years after they surrendered me to the state, they had my brother. He was planned. Wanted. Kept. 2 years after that, my sister. Also planned. Also wanted. Also kept. They gave me away and kept the others. Now the others failed and they want me back. But I'm not a product you can return and exchange. I'm a person. And I already have a family. The brother who went to prison. He'd had every opportunity. Private school. Sports programs. A car when he turned 16. All the things my biological parents claimed they couldn't provide for me. The sister who won't work. She'd been coddled her entire life. Never told no. Never held accountable. Never expected to stand on her own 2 feet. Meanwhile, I was the one they threw away. The one they deemed expendable. The one who had to build himself from nothing, with the help of 2 incredible people who chose to love me. And now, 27 years later, their other investments had failed to mature. Their portfolio was underperforming. So they went digging through their old assets, hoping to find one that had appreciated in value. They found me. Update 4. The dinner. I planned it carefully. Methodically. Not out of vengeance, out of necessity. I needed to close this chapter properly. I needed them to understand. And I needed my real parents there to witness it. I invited my biological parents to dinner at my house. They accepted eagerly, barely containing their excitement. We can't wait to see your home, my biological mother gushed. To spend real time together as a family. Family. I invited my adoptive parents as well. Told them everything. Every detail. Every manipulation. Every request for money. My mother cried, not from sadness, but from anger on my behalf. My father's jaw set in that way it does when someone has wronged his son. We'll be there, he said. Whatever you need. The night arrived. My biological parents showed up first, dressed in their nicest clothes. They walked through my house with wide eyes, commenting on everything. The high ceilings. The hardwood floors. The modern kitchen. The backyard with the built-in grill. You've done so well for yourself, my biological mother said, and I couldn't tell if it was pride or appraisal in her voice. My biological father admired my car in the driveway. That's a beautiful vehicle. Must have cost a fortune. I smiled. Said nothing. Poured them wine. Then the doorbell rang. My adoptive parents walked in. My mom carrying a homemade pie, apple, my favorite, the one she's been making me since I was 6 years old. My dad in the sweater I bought him last Christmas. "Everyone," I said, "I'd like you to meet my parents." The silence was deafening. My biological mother's face went through a complicated series of emotions. Confusion. Recognition. Something darker. "Your adoptive parents," she said carefully. "My parents," I corrected. We sat down to dinner. The tension was thick enough to cut. My biological parents tried to make small talk, but it was forced, awkward. They kept glancing at my adoptive parents like they were intruders. My adoptive mother asked my biological mother about her garden. My adoptive father tried to engage my biological father in conversation about sports. It was painful. Stilted. I waited until dessert. Update 5. The confrontation. I stood up from the table. Everyone went quiet. "I asked you all here tonight because I need to say something," I began. "And I need everyone in this room to hear it." My biological parents looked nervous. My adoptive parents looked supportive. My wife squeezed my hand from across the table. "When I first received that Facebook message," I said, looking at my biological mother, "I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Curiosity. A piece of me that had always wondered, what if suddenly had the chance to find out? I wanted to believe your story. I wanted to believe you gave me up out of love. That it was truly the hardest decision. That you never stopped thinking about me." My biological mother's eyes were wet. "We didn't," she whispered. "We never stopped. Please let me finish." She fell silent. "I met with you. I listened to your explanations. I heard about how young you were, how poor you were, how impossible the situation seemed. And I understood. I did. Being a parent is hard. Being a young parent with no money is harder. I was prepared to forgive. I was prepared to build something with you, not as replacements for my real parents, but as additional family. As people I could know and understand." I paused. Took a breath. "Then I learned about my siblings. The 2 children you had after me. The 2 children you kept. The 2 children you raised with the same resources you claimed you didn't have for me." My biological father started to speak. I held up my hand. "I know about your brother's legal troubles," I continued. "I know about your sister's situation. I know that your house needs repairs, that money is tight, that the children you chose to raise haven't become the adults you hoped they would be." My biological mother's face hardened slightly. The mask was slipping. "And I know why you really found me. Why you hired that private investigator. Why you reached out after 27 years of silence." I turned to my adoptive parents. My real parents. "These are my parents," I said, my voice steady. "These are the people who chose me when you gave me up. Who stayed when things got hard. Who never made me feel like a burden. Who never made me feel like a mistake. Who never had biological children because they poured every single ounce of their love, their resources, their energy into me." My adoptive mother was crying now. My adoptive father's hand was on her shoulder, his eyes fixed on me with an expression of fierce love. I turned back to my biological parents. "You didn't come back for me. You came back for what I have. Your other children, the ones you kept, didn't turn out how you wanted, so you're shopping for a replacement. You're looking for a retirement plan. A backup. A do-over. You're hoping that the child you threw away turned into something you can use." "That's not," my biological mother started. "You asked me for money within weeks of meeting me," I cut her off. "You sized up my house, my car, my career. You mentioned your brother's legal fees, your house repairs, your financial struggles. You didn't ask about my childhood. You didn't ask about my fears, my dreams, my struggles. You asked about what I have. What I've built. What you can take from it." "We're your family," my biological father said, his voice rising. "We're your blood." "Blood doesn't mean anything," I said. "Blood is an accident of biology. Family is a choice. Family is showing up. Family is sacrifice. Family is my mother making me chicken soup when I was sick, and my father teaching me to drive, and both of them sitting in the front row at my college graduation with tears in their eyes because they were proud of me, not because I was successful, but because I was theirs." I straightened my spine, looked them both in the eyes. "I'm not your retirement plan. I'm not your backup option. I'm not your do-over child because the first batch didn't work out. I'm a person. A whole person who built a life without you. And I already have a family." I gestured toward the door. "I think it's time for you to leave." My biological mother stood up, her face a mask of controlled fury. You can't talk to us like this. We're your parents. We gave you life. You gave me away, I said simply. And kept the others. That tells me everything I need to know about what I meant to you then. Coming back now, when you need something. That tells me what I mean to you now. My biological father grabbed his wife's arm. Let's go, he muttered. This was a mistake. No, I said. Giving me up was the best thing you ever did for me. Because it led me to them. I looked at my adoptive parents. My mom. My dad. The people who made me who I am. My biological parents left without another word. I heard their car start. Heard them drive away. And just like that, the chapter closed. Epilogue. It's been 3 weeks since that dinner. I haven't heard from my biological parents. I blocked them on everything. Phone, Facebook, email. I don't expect to hear from them again. They got their answer. My wife held me that night while I processed everything. The anger. The grief. The strange sense of loss for something I never really had. I visited my adoptive parents last weekend. We sat on their porch, drinking lemonade, watching the sunset. My dad told stories about when I was a kid. My mom showed me pictures from old photo albums, pictures of me at various ages, captured moments of a childhood filled with love. I'm sorry you had to go through that, my mom said at one point. I'm sorry they weren't who you hoped they might be. I'm not, I told her. Because if they had been, I might have wondered. I might have questioned. But now I know. Now I know exactly who my parents are. My dad put his hand on my shoulder. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. I drove home that night with peace I hadn't felt in months. Maybe in years. Final thoughts. To anyone out there dealing with something similar, you don't owe anyone a relationship just because of biology. You don't owe anyone your success, your resources, your emotional energy just because they share your DNA. Family is earned. Family is chosen. Family is the people who show up, not the people who show up when they need something. My biological parents gave me away and kept the others. Now the others failed and they want me back. But I'm not a product you can return and exchange. I'm a person. And I already have a family. Thanks for reading. I'm not going to respond to comments asking for identifying details or updates about my biological parents. That chapter of my life is closed. But if my story helps even one person understand that blood isn't everything, that chosen family is just as real, that you don't owe toxic people anything just because of genetics, then it was worth sharing. Here's what I learned about family. Blood is an accident of biology. Family is a choice. Family is showing up. They gave me up at 5 because they couldn't afford me. Then they had 2 more kids. Kids they kept. Kids they chose over me. They said giving me up was the hardest decision. But they made it pretty easily when the next 2 came along. My bio mother cried when she saw me. I thought it was love. Then she asked about my house and suddenly the tears made sense. My siblings don't even know I exist. They grew up with parents while I grew up wondering why I wasn't enough to keep. They're not here because they missed me. They're here because their other investments didn't pay off and they're hoping I will. So I invited them to dinner. Along with my real parents, the ones who chose me, who stayed when things got hard, who never made me feel like a burden. I told them, you didn't come back for me. You came back for what I have. Your other children didn't turn out how you wanted, so you're shopping for a replacement. I'm not your retirement plan. I'm not your do-over. They gave me away and kept the others. Now the others failed and they want me back. But I'm not a product you can return and exchange. I'm a person. And I already have a family.